Hello managers, welcome back to my channel. I trust you are doing great. Welcome back to my channel where I share book reviews on personal and business growth, job tricks and hacks, my growth journey as a startup co-founder and manager. My name is Dorcas. If this is your first time, welcome on board. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for being part of my YouTube family. I trust you're having fun being here. Have you watched the previous review I dropped? If you've not, check the link in the description to go check out. If you've checked out the video and you've read the book, what did I miss out? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Meanwhile, today we're going to be diving deeper, right? Today we're going to be diving into chapter 7, 8, 9 of the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth by John C. Maxwell. So let's dive in. Shall we make this conversational? Alright, so chapter 7, the law of design. Speaking of the law of design, what's the first thing that came to your mind? What's the first thought in your mind right now? Is this more like an architectural webinar or seminar or topic or whatever? The law of design from John C. Maxwell perspective basically is talking about us having a roadmap, a plan regarding how to navigate life. Because we are humans, we are Homo sapiens, we ought to live our life intentionally, not just like, let me not use the word. Okay, so because when we have a design, when we have a plan, when we have a roadmap for our life, even when we don't have all the dots figured out. Disclaimer, this does not mean or say that we'll always have the answers put together. We'll always have all the dots connected. We'll always have everything figured out. No. But we should have a roadmap, a plan that guides the way we navigate life, that guides the way we live our life, such that we don't just live our life by accident or by default or by impulse and then get to just live life by luck. So in order for us to stay in charge, intentional and on course while running our life, right, as a manager, right, we have to be intentional. We have to have a design. We have to have a roadmap. So there are some key points that stood out for me. There are some highlights that stood out for me while reviewing the chapter. One of it is that when developing growth strategies, we should always ensure to keep it personal. We should always ensure to keep it simple, repeatable and transferable. What does that mean? For instance, New Year resolution, it's always mostly complicated, right? Because we get to try to copy other people's our own lives. Meanwhile, we have different scenarios, we have different experiences, we have different circumstances and backgrounds and realities. It will always work for us, work that way or work out that way. So when planning growth strategies, whether for our finance, for our business, for our personal development, for our spiritual life, whatever it is, we should make it personal in reality, as related to our current reality, as related to where we are heading to in life, as related to the resources we have available, so that it's realistic enough for us to implement. We should keep it simple, not so complicated, right? We should make it repeatable, because if we're not able to keep our growth strategies repeatable, we will not be able to stay consistent. Along the line, success may not be achievable. The second key point that stood out for me is that in life, we always have to prioritize designing our life, not just our career. For instance, while we were growing up, we talk about being a lawyer, being a doctor, being this and that. So we need to look at our life all encompassing, as life is holistic, not just a part, right? Because our career is just a little fragment of our life. It's not the entire who we are. So we always have to incorporate everything. Now, speaking of planning our life instead of just our career, he talked about our core values, what keeps us inspired, what brings us alive, our personality, our strength, our weaknesses. This all encompassing. This is even what should birth our career plan. This is even what should birth our business plan. This is what should birth our career goals, right? Because when we incorporate our career into who we are, it makes it more sustainable in the long run than just planning outside who we are, right? So the next thing is that the next key point that stood out for me is that life is not a dress rehearsal. What does that mean? The thing is, life is not like a video game that we get to play, pause, stop, and rewind and all of that. In life, we do not have the leverage, the opportunity to experiment with life, then come back and correct without repercussion, without any punishment. Let me put it that way. If we experiment with our life, chances are we're going to make serious mistakes that will cost us even our success. So we always have to have design a plan of how to navigate life so that we minimize the chances of making so much mistake that could cost us so much, right? The next thing is, when we are planning our growth strategies, we should always multiply everything by 2. It's always easier said than done, right? In the beginning of the new year, we plan a lot of things, but along the line, you always notice that it takes more resources, it takes more time, it takes more effort, it takes more exertion than you always anticipated, than always thought of, right? So when we're making plans, let's always think that it's not always going to be as easy as we project anticipate. So we make room for additional input such that we don't get surprised along the line or get discouraged because things did not work out as easy, as simple as we thought in the first place. Then the next thing is that we should make our design, whatever growth strategies we are building, we should make it depend on system. We should systemize our growth strategies, we should systemize our growth plans such that we can always implement it. Maxwell said that a life without a system is a life where we always have to start all over again from scratch because it's always new. You always have to start all over again, rewind, So, but when we systemize our growth plan, make it part of who we are, make it like a routine, like this is what I'm going to be doing every day or twice a week or whatever. It makes it repeatable and helps us stay consistent, right? However, we should always ensure that while systemizing these our growth strategies, we should ensure that it's measurable. It's not something that we can just, we should just project and then leave it. While we are making progress, while we're taking steps, we should be able to evaluate how far we've gone. We should be able to see whether we are making progress. The next point that stood out for me is that our growth strategies and plans should incorporate plan and action. Because when we just make plans, an idea, or whatever resolution we make, if we do not incorporate action plans, feasible action plans, we will become inconsistent and then along the line, we'll just give up. So we should incorporate action plans to the strategies such that we will not just abandon it, we'll be able to forge ahead. The next thing is also ensuring that it's organized. Is this something that is relatable? These are all easier said than done. But thinking about it again, the law of design. Design helps to give us a clue of, okay, this is how we should get started. So these are more like the characteristics of what should make our design, the factors that should keep our design in check such that we stay consistent on a good journey. So the next, we're going to be diving into chapter 8, law of pain. This book makes a lot of sense because it's not just giving you the sweet laws, it's also helping us come to the awareness that, there's pain in life, so it's not always the not so good parts. The law of pain, chapter 8. Now, while I was reviewing this book, it got to a point I was like, I just had to say prayer. I was like, God, may we not have to deal with any pain that is beyond our capacity and control to bear. May it always be within the limits of what we have the capacity for, and may we not face that which is beyond our capacity. Now, at this point, I had to ask myself, okay, what's the title of my own pain? The chapter helps me to categorize my pains. There are varieties of pain, and I have to know the title of my own pain, the title of the pain I'm dealing with, so that I know which pill is best to deal with it. So chapter 8 talks about the law of pain. There are different pains in life. We need to know which one we are dealing with such that we are able to address it head on. So the first one, right, is the law of inexperience. Ask your neighbor, what type of pain are you currently dealing with or are you currently facing? The low pain is just like, you having a headache and you have to take some pills or drink water if it's dehydration that is causing it and all of that. So there's the pain of inexperience. What does this mean? I'm working as a manager, right? I have had a share of experience working with young people or during interview or even when they're onboarded. A lot of young folks looking for jobs don't have experience, so they just apply, and unfortunately some of them don't. They are not even teachable, they are not willing to learn. So imagine you don't have the experience, you're not teachable, and you're not willing to learn. The pain is going to be triple, in fact quadrupled, right? It's going to be pain pro max. So when we are planning our life, we need to understand that in areas where we don't have experience, we will have to face and deal with pain. We cannot run away from it. So let's take this to the workplace setting, right? Let's use a workplace analogy. So you are applying for a job. If you're someone that is teachable, good for you. I don't hope you're someone that is not teachable. You apply for a job and then you're teachable, you're willing to learn on the job, right? During the first few weeks or even months on the job, if you're someone that learns fast, a fast learner, you're going to be able to fast pace. You're going to catch up very fast. But during the first few weeks, right, you are going to deal with lots of pain that's related to the law and the pain of inexperience. Why? Because if you're given a task to do and it's not something you're familiar with, you'll be slow on completing that task. You might make mistakes, and along the line, these mistakes and incompetencies might train you or make your boss or your supervisor see you as, you're not capable of doing the job. You might not win. You're not able to win the heart of your employer fast due to inexperience. This is the pain that you can be overlooked, not really taken seriously. That's a pain of inexperience. So that was just by the way. So in life, when we are planning to grow, when we are planning to do anything, we should factor in the pain of inexperience so that we don't get discouraged, so that we don't get surprised, so that we don't get depressed, so that we don't get discouraged, right? The second thing is that we should always factor in the pain of incompetence. Now, lots of us, young professionals, for instance, get depressed unnecessarily, get frustrated in life unnecessarily, and I'm sure it's not people's fault. It's because they don't know what they are dealing with. Because when you know what you're dealing with, that's the first step to even helping you know how to deal with it in the first place. We don't even know what the title of your problem. So the pain of incompetence, of not being let's use the work setting for example again, right? The pain of incompetence, you start with the basic salary, right? Sometimes you have to volunteer, sometimes you have to do internship. You just have to volunteer to grow your skills first and build a portfolio before you're ever taken seriously. These are the pain of incompetence. You have to subject that yourself to earning low, being taken less seriously, you understand that how you want to feel. You not feel that at that start until you are able to prove your worth, until you are able to prove what you're bringing to the table. So another thing is the pain of disappointment. Lots of us, we get frustrated lots of times because of disappointment, right? I really love this chapter because it helps me to come to a sense of self-awareness that disappointment, of course I know disappointment is inevitable, but the pain that comes with disappointment is something that we should always prepare for in life. You cannot run away from it. Like, you see a lot of people, they have the problem of low self-esteem, the problem of feeling rejection and all of that. It's when you don't know what to expect. But when we anticipate these things, it doesn't take us by surprise, right? It doesn't throw off us balance. So we already know that disappointment will come and the pain will come. So this is how we're going to deal with it, right? The next thing is the pain of hard decisions. When we are trying to step out of our comfort zone to stretch, to grow, so that we don't remain stuck, we don't stay in the same place year after year. We often make decisions that are hard, decisions that pushes us off balance, decisions that are not convenient, that are not comfortable, that are not easy. So these decisions comes with its own set of pain. If we are not aware, if we're not self-aware, if we're not prepared mentally enough, we get discouraged and we go back to square one, we go back to our comfort zone. Recently I was discussing with a young lady, and I was trying to tell her that at some point as a young woman, you just have to some relationship, you just need to make sure that when it comes to opposite sex relationship, that is not important, because you first, you just find, you don't need to have it all figured out, but find yourself first before you even think of everybody that says I love you, gets you interested, gets you excited, gets you see, you get what I mean. So you need to make some oh, it sounds nice, right? It's really, it makes you feel good, right? But it's not a big deal when you think about where you should be going to in life and what you should be doing for your life, right? So the hard decisions has its own pain, so you have to face it. Without facing it, you still have to deal with the consequence. So the next thing is the pain of relationship loss. Most of us, while we were coming up as teenagers or young adults, we often had to deal with blocking some people's contact so they don't get to call us, or giving some people attention, or all of that, or just telling some people to hell with you, I'm done. Okay, so the pain of relationship loss, like sometimes it's someone that you used to enjoy having conversation for over 2 hours on phone. Like I remember that time, young people normally do MTN night call. You can be on phone for hours, So the pain of relationship loss, someone that you enjoy talking to, that is not even compatible with where you're heading to in life, and you just have to say, oh, I have to do away with this so that I will not have myself to blame in the future. These are all pains that we have to deal with, because if we not deal with it, it will stall our growth and success. So John C. Maxwell, in this chapter, basically, for me, what stood out for me is the fact that John C. Maxwell helped me to give caption to different pains in life. So I know, okay, if there's somehow I feel rejected, I'm feeling down because of rejection, I know how to deal with that. I'm feeling frustrated because of I'm incompetent, I need to skill up, right? I need to buckle up, I need to get. If it's disappointment, well, I have to just prepare for the next opportunity. If it's hard decision, I just need to ensure I need to do a comparative analysis of the benefits of the decision I've taken, and then it will help me to move forward. You get. So I enjoyed reading this chapter, and enjoyed reviewing this chapter, because it helps me, like I said, give caption, titles to my pain, and then to be able to deal with them. So Jesse Maxwell said we can face the pain and still succeed, but we have a role to play. We have to choose a positive life stance. We have to have a positive life stance. That way we can be able to deal with pain. We have to develop and deploy our creativity in moments of pain. We have to embrace the value of bad experience, because some bad experience will always have a positive lesson on the other side. And then we also have to take responsibility for our life and avoid self-pity, blame game, and slipping into depression, right? This way, we will be able to stay in charge, intentional, and take charge of our growth journey. So, over to the next chapter, delving more in. Chapter 9 the author talks about the importance of character development in enhancing our pace of growth or success. Several case studies and examples were cited in the chapter. So I won't try to share from my point of view. I'll just quote a particular page of the chapter, word for word, just the way John C. Maxwell put it, because it's amazing. It couldn't be better put of the author. So in specific, page 153, John C. Maxwell, it says, if we desire to grow and reach our potential, we must pay more attention to our character than our success. We must pay more attention to our character than our success. We must recognize that personal growth means more than expanding our minds and adding to our skills. It means increasing our capacity as human beings. It means maintaining core integrity even when it hurts. It means being who we should be, not just being where we want to be. It means maturing our souls. This is the law of the ladder. I enjoyed reading these three chapters, chapter 7, 8, and 9. And if you've read the book, I would love you to share your key takeaways with me or anything I missed that stood out for you in the comment section. And what stood out for you from this review? What's your take home? Would you love to share? Let's hear in the comment section. And until next time, do stay in charge and take care of yourself.